listening to a Terence McKenna talk. And I wanted to pause the video and... It's not a video, it's an audible. It's an ear edible, yeah? But he was talking about the hypothetical question that somebody might ask of him, being that he has lived a good portion of his 70-year, 80-year allotment, and he's done some psychedelics and had a marriage and done all the things that everybody seems to do in this earthly, fleshly existence. And he was essentially posing a hypothetical question to himself, which was, in all of your cavorting, in all of your movements on the surface of the planet or the earth, in all of your adventures, what did you learn? And then he gave the very simple answer that nothing lasts. That would be the whole of his learning in 2 words. Nothing lasts. And then he went on to look at the possibilities of that statement in terms of good or bad for the individual, and break it down into a sort of a moral judgment. And he just mentioned that, well, if nothing lasts, then for the things you're holding on to, that's bad for you. And for the things you hate, it's good for you. Or for the things that are disagreeable to you, or anything that you find inside of your head banging around in there and you dislike it. And then if you see out there with your eyeballs, you can combine the thing in your head and you can match them up and say, yeah, I don't like the thing in my head or out in the world. It's very disagreeable. And then in that case, nothing lasts is a blessing, right? But then if you're talking about your children that you love, or your pets, or the warm, cozy feeling of inhabiting a body, right? Hopefully it's warm and cozy most of the time, or at least tolerable. No, not tolerable, that's too far. It's comfortable being in a body if you haven't abused it. If you've abused it over your lifetime, then it probably sucks. And then for you, in that situation, if you've put the body through hell, or so-called external circumstances have put the body through hell, then perhaps when you hear something like nothing lasts, you might say, well, good, let's vacate this faulty house, and then externalize the blame for the damages caused to your vehicle. And of course, nothing lasts also is biblical in nature, because there's a verse that says, this too shall pass, and that was also something that Jesus said. This too is I remember somebody was having a discussion on what is it? It was who was it? It was The Awakened Brave, back when I still listened to his channel. He was having an in-depth conversation with one of his people that he had on the show, and they were discussing the word it. They were like, the word it, what does it mean? And they just certainly couldn't figure it out. They were using the word in their conversation that was trying to delve into the meaning of the thing, and it was not working very well. And of course, it's a ridiculous argument in the first place because it only has meaning when the word itself, see, I have to use the word while I'm talking about it, when the word is pointing to something. If you're trying to figure out the meaning of that word itself, it doesn't work. It doesn't mean anything. It's a designator. The word it is essentially a finger. It's like we point at things. It is a thought mechanism for pointing at something in your mind. It's a mental finger. It is a mental finger. How's that? Is that a good description of what it is? It is also a Stephen King creation. It's a lot of things. But back to this too shall pass or nothing lasts. Many times in my life, when I've had struggles, I've taken solace in that saying, this too shall pass, which is the same thing as nothing lasts. Whatever you're sitting here worried about for the upcoming day or the upcoming week or year or the whole span until your physical body deteriorates completely and the spirit must vacate, is gonna be totally and completely dissolved. All of it. The whole structure, the mental structure, the physical remnants that litter the landscape. It will all be dissolved. Everything. At some point. And it's not a problem because the life does what it does. You don't have any control over that. I don't have any control over that. It's a blessing, really, the fact that things don't last forever, because if things lasted forever, then at some point it would just be an overload. It would be too much for any human mind to comprehend or to even begin to handle or find a proper, reasonable stance within the clusterfuck of things that have just never gone away. That's why we have short-term memory and we have long-term memory, and the long-term memory is not always impinging into the present moment, because otherwise that would destroy our peace within the present moment. The long-term memory is there as a memory bank that you can access if you wish, or if necessity calls for it, but it's not sitting there trying to insert itself into your conscious present at all times. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing that nothing lasts. And if you've already tasted the fruits of desire, and I'm sure many of you have, or what you envisioned the fruits were going to taste like, and then you got what you assumed was the actual thing itself, you know that the thing itself, it pales in comparison to your juicy imagination of it, inevitably. And then if you really think about it, and if you think back on the times in your life where you felt amazing, or you felt such a pure love, or a pure appreciation, a beauty, where you catch your breath, you know, those kind of moments. They were never an object of desire. And you could not have manifested that as an object of desire if you wanted to. So, as far as I can tell, and in my personal life, the moments of stark beauty and even stark terror, because they are actually a similar thing, these things, they don't get planned, they don't get premeditated. If anything, we try to avoid those situations where it's just a gripping, you know, or it's such an intensity of experience that you couldn't try and stick that in your schedule. You wouldn't. It's too much. Even if it was, there are some situations of beauty even that it's so intense you can't really desire for it. And I think that's partially what Terrence is that's part of his essence. He's always trying to describe the indescribable. And he's always pointing out the sort of fickle nature of society and its security blankets in the form of you know, money, institutions, ideologies, belief systems. All of those things make this little bubble that we inhabit, it seems like a relatively safe place. But it doesn't ever quite remove the knowledge that the yawning void is literally like a millimeter behind the facade. And when I say the facade, I mean this whole holographic projection thing that we call Earth life. We all know that there are vast universes beyond it. We know it. But the security of being in this cleverly condensed infinity, very cleverly, the security of being within that, I think, anchors us here. And some things that happen out of necessity in your life, and especially the dramatic and incredibly intense ones, they just have to happen. You can't will them to happen. If you knew they were coming, you would avoid them. There's no question about it. And that's kind of what we're doing here. We're, as a collective, we are very firmly and non-intentionally, or in other words, unconsciously, we are shielding ourselves from this mass of otherness, which is also ourselves, but we're not looking at it, so we're hiding from this aspect of ourselves, which is the unconscious or the subconscious, or the outside of the conscious, eyeballs, fingers sensing, hearing, tasting, touching reality. It's outside of it, but we see it in dreams, or we see it when we have night terrors. We see it, we glimpse it here and there. But there's something about this 3D embodied experience that draws us back. It anchors us. And I think we like the amnesia walls. I don't think it's just like, I'm so pissed off that I can't remember all of the all the horrors. And of course, you have to remember that amnesia walls that are blocking horrors, the horrors are also another wall that are in the way of a blessing or a grace, a release, an understanding. Like it's never, the walls are consecutive, and that's what keeps a lot of people stuck in place sometimes, because this first amnesia wall maybe perhaps is blocking us from experiencing an incredibly painful, repressed childhood memory, but we don't know that just on the other side of passing through and dissolving and resolving that wall and experiencing the pain and resolving the situation, we don't know that just on the other side of that is such a release and a peace and a freedom that we can't imagine. So we hold ourselves back from resolving a lot of things because the initial walls look too formidable, and we're not guaranteed of anything good on the other side. So we opt out of it, and we opt to stay within the rut system. In the rut system, we like to complain about it, but we know it. It's like, yeah, I'm a slave in various ways, in many ways, but I know it, and I know how to navigate that, to some extent at least. And that's what I'm going to keep doing. And that's what most people do. I don't even think that the ones that go out there and really take a leap of faith, and then they come back to tell the rest of the world their amazing story, I don't think most of those people sort of planned themselves into that leap of faith. I think it was more like they were standing on a cliff and a gust of wind just blew them right off, you know? And then after the fact, we like to repaint the story and insert our sort of control over that situation and how we induced, you know, this magical leap of faith that brought on all kinds of insights that we are now sharing with you fortunate people. You know, we write history after the experience happens.